nó cái số này sẽ được vào tờ chế trong xe rồi nên lúc xe chẳng chẳng là một công rồi có được sao sự làm mọi người TV thì nó cái số này sẽ được cho số này sai mọi người TV dùng gì sẽ nên bằng được cúi sáng được cho logo đó nên cái này sai tàu tan thọ rồi nên cho smart TV tờ chế cho rồi dùng gì sẽ nên một trong này họ platform là dùng một cái đồ họ hay tiền này xí là một cái đồ này họ internet này gì nhớ trở nên này lúc TV sẽ nên họ brand là lúc bé thì trả nó chỉ nên chú tàu sai dùng gì sẽ nên một số ở chú tàu ở này nó Unison tàu này cho smart TV này chỉ nên chỉ là cá đó hay Unison là chỉ nên chú lò vậy do mọi người xem TV sẽ là có plus một đó rồi nên sai sẽ giờ nên sao hôm nay lúc sáu tông này chỉ mua upload họ app rồi nên lúc sáu tông chỉ lúc sáu tông tư lý giờ nên mua sáu tông Android Apple tên đó là nên mua download tàu ta nên mua iPad tên đó nên download tàu ta thọ một trong này họ App Store chỉ nên một cho Unison này chỉ nên sai tầm hơi dây TV năng có plus không chỉ trong share rồi nên lúc share tranh chén nó một cùng trong hơi dây TV thế là cái rồi nên share được ấy cú hiện chỉ là lý trả hay sao sự rồi nên cho nó có sao sự của cho su là một thằng cho trong sao Russia thì Ukraine thế tại sao nó cái sự Russia tương cái hiệu cho trong lưu ở capital ở Kiev nó nhỏ trong sao Ukraine là trở lại khán giả sự là những sinh lão thế là những tổ thế là chỉ mua ý cá là cho và thằng hạn thế là cho chain the mua cho lý hay tiền bao cho mày tên đời thiên này nè, cho con nói ít họ lấy cho bùa lấy cho tanks cho military vehicles mà cho khổng thiết cho train hay cho rồi sao và cho tròn đời này chị ta xin nó lấy những mù cả yo cho cái trâu lúc capital lợi thiên, ta xin mà chưa ít họ dùng gì cho lấy mù thiên thì rồi lấy cho nên và này nó mù trâu khỏi tiền sĩ tàu nó ở Russia cho force cho ta thác hẳn để chỉ những trường dùng gì đâu là để rồi là chỉ cần走thiên thì lịch sử là Russia những để rõ thiên này nè trở lại khó sẽ được mua là một sự thật sự trở cho satellite chỉ những thay tàu là một cái sẽ được huấn gì ạ trở lại sáng nói thì liệu tàu United Nations tàu sự thật ở trong rồi ít khỏi emergency thì do qua đi trả thiên nên chị này nó tại nó sinh nhật Russia thì không có nó từ hai tiếng một cậu ở từ Russian diplomats mà cho nên cậu ở từ ở cho nên Russia nhỏ trâu sa và này nó United Nations headquarters nhớ trong bên New York mấy cả từ mua expel là gọi là các một trong Russia lúc tới chờ lợ trở lại khán giả sư Disneyland hay tiền Disneyland chi yếu mua và này nó Disneyland cho Sydney là một khi trừ sĩ đó sau Russia lúc tới chờ thiên là một khán giả trú tờ là thiên này đấy chỉ ta nói sư Ukraine do ít khó hay tiền sĩตัวnó tàu lịch sản nó cho được khán nó là chỉ những hay tiền thông cho sai cho Ukraine cho tới chờ mẹ cho Russia thì nhớ một bố ta thì là thiên là từ một này nó và lúc học hiện chẳng chẳng này chỉ hay tiệt cọ là mua cho thà hạ là mua này nó buồn chi cả ta trâu lúc ở capital Kiev này xem một lý giải rồi sang tao bên mày chọn gì rồi này thiệt nó có sao sự gì tận thế này thiệt là một thà cho này chỉ chọn trong hay tiệt tại sao nó cái sự cha lúc xí hở hay tiệt nhớ rồi sang thế mấy cái nó sau đó cho nó chữ rồi cho sáng này chỉ biết khi rủ lại rồi cho stay cọ sau đó chỉ cho tao mà trâu khỏi tiệt cọ cho nó chữ tụ governor tao không sẽ được trâu khỏi mass thì thái sẽ được tụ khang thiệt trở lên đó California thiệt Oregon thiệt Washington State tàu cha tờ hay tiệt cho lúc bé liền tôi vẫn thi cầu ý là xưa này chỉ thà có sẽ được tàu trâu mass là hay cho trâu tan thọ rồi cho chỉ cần tàu thiệt trâu sang tàu xưa California nhưng hay tiệt do ít họ khi đó sẽ được cho nên người chỉ tàu sát chua là do trâu vaccinated vậy tiệt nhưng mà sai cho con chua thì thầy tụ khang tàu này vậyเขาnói là ít họ chỉ mua ít họ thì là một không nên còn nên trâu ít họ mask nên tụ khăn là thiệt,แต่ชิมายาที่họ xả trâu mask trâu nên tụ khăn là những chỉ hại lý giả tên đời thiệt nó, hiện giờ trongวันที่เกาหลีลูกเป็นหินตูนอโรชาแคลิฟอร์เนียnó vậy, chỉ thà có sẽ được trâu maskก็จะมีหยดmột cái tàu là tàu tan thọ là chỉ trâu mask, thì thầy luôn trên mua là tàu tan thọ là thiệt, trời đi Dr. Mark Gailey là một hai nó mà nhớ trâu sa lúc sang California nó, sẽ đợi cho các món bông đi trâu % là nhớ trâu sa Los Angeles nói gì, sau đó cho cái đấy một số lúc bé liền tôi vẫn thi cổ, khi cho chẳng nên nó trâu này San Francisco là chỉ tàu là một cái chỉ xe hay tiệt, lời mua khó tiệt cho mình dùng cần tàu chạy tàu cho khó tông, nên nó khó mask rồi có lúc trên mua là chỉ tàu chạy đó nè,แต่ที่ Illinois chỉ hay tiệt cho restaurant cho lán nó mỏ cho bars cho gyms cho tất cả tên đó tiệt Chicago nên chỉ hay tiệt nên nó là một khoản mass là một trẻ thiệt nhưng chỉ không sử dụng nữa Massachusetts cho chỉ cần tới K trong cổ ó này chị lấy trẻ trong khoản mass ta là thiệt nhớ trong Connecticut cho chỉ cần tới thông bờ này chị chỉ thà không hay tiệt cho mình nhọ tàu trong mass thiệt chỉ thà nên tới Washington DC hay tiệt nên một gà cho trẻ cho khử cho chỉ tăng thọ nhớ rồi sẽ indoors chỉ không cho sử dụng trong mass là thiệt New York State hay tiệt require nên nó cho mình nhọ trong mass một chỉ cần tới nung nọ này chị lỡ mua khó mask để chế tạo lỡ thiệt để trong xuyên tàu hay tiệt lần đầu lúc sáng là tôi chỉ xuyên là một hai giờ rồi thì chỉ thả trong mask vì tiệt sau đó cho các món này cho percent bóng chơi rủ cần cầu để thiệt cho nên một bữa hôm một là chơi lỡ thiệt giờ tại sao nói cái sự short transportation security administration là TSA tàu là mua hai tiệt hai giờ rồi đó nên mua cho ở sát trái nhớ hồng lo cho commercial airplanes đó muốn cả rồi sát ở trái nhớ hồng một chỗ chạy cho đã lâu rồi cho bus cho lúc nào tên đó này chị dọn giống hay tiệt trở cọ sẽ trong mask lưu bé hình tư vấn thi cầu gì nó bé hình tư vấn thi cầu gì nó chị trở lên khăn nó xưa giờ cho làm một chút xíu là CDC là một hai đôi sẽ được tan thọ này chị sẽ một đi chọn nó làm mua ở chỉ sợ gì nó bé mày chọn gì đâu này sẽ được thiệt nó có số sản gì tận thế này thiệt hay là này thì Pfizer giờ ilu company hay tiền nữa giờ cho mua chua rồi bé cho mình nhỏ hay cho đồ xả đồ cho mình nhỏ chỉ trong đồ của ít dòng cho chua xả này cho COVID vaccine là thì thái tụi nhỏ có cho kỳ tụi các món COVIDแต่ชิมาลูNew York State Department of Health แล้วเกิดเตาแล้วเจาะใกล้จะมีหน่วยยาวแล้วปอเตาให้เตี้ย Pfizer vaccine เรามุติท้ายไปจะมีหน่วยเนาะยาถอดปีเจ้าก็ตัวมีหน่วยลูเจนะเจหน่วยตีท้ายก็ตัวมีหน่วยเจ้าอยู่2%แต่ชิมาเจ้ามีหน่วยชี้ช่องเราก็อีช่องแล้วนะในเจียงให้เตียนเนี่ยเนาะว่ายาสาตัวเราเลยอีลูลิซึ่งในเจียจะเปอร์เซ็นต์ป้องมันจะได้เก่า%ละซึ่งเจียลิงแต่เจอลิคอแล้วมั่วเรามันเกิดเตาในเจียก็ตัวมีหน่วยชี้ช่องตัวก็อีช่องเนาะสาช่วยที่ไทยก็ตัวมีหน่วยแต่เจียป้องเลยเก่า%ตัวมีหน่วยรู้เจียซึ่งแต่ชีเจอลิคอแล้วเจอการลิงแต่ในเจียแล้วจะเรามาให้เตียนเนี่ยเราชาไปนิวยอร์กแล้วเจอการจะมีหน่วยแต่ซึ่งแค่ตัวเราเดินให้เตียจะมีหน่วยชี้ช่องตัวก็อีช่องแต่ในเจียไฟเซอร์เราจะช่วยเจอจะหัวเราก้องช่วยเจียแล้วจอลิให้เตียเก่าmacrogram shots họ giờจะมีอยู่ก็ชาร์ก็ออร์ก็ชาร์ช่องนี่จะได้จอบเป๊ะเจ้า microgram นะเจ๊ยังลินเดอร์เจ๊ที่เรียกให้เตี้ยยาเก่ามันจะเป๊ะเจ้านี่เจ๊ขณะยิ่งว่าเจอเลยว่าเนี่ยนะเจ๊เนี่ยเจ๊วันนี้เดอร์จะมีอยู่ที่เรียกให้เตี้ยเตาจะเปอร์เซ็นต์ที่ถ่ายเลยถูกแข่งจะจัดซะเจ๊แต่ชินะแล้วเจอการเราคนเดอร์เจอการจะมีอยู่ที่เจอ FDA ให้แต่ชินะซื้อเนี่ยเจ๊เจอให้เตี้ยแล้วเจอเกิดที่เจอการจะต้องเดอร์ซื้อจีเป้าจังเตี้ยเราได้นะจะรู้เป้าถึงดูเช่ปุ่มว่าตัวอีจันต้องเดินจีแต่มันเราเดอร์ให้จะรู้จอตีไทยจะมีอยู่ไม่เที่ยแล้วก็ส่วนสิ่งที่ตั้งแต่นายกเฮโรเนชเดอร์เก่าเชี่ยตัวจะไปสั่งยาเราใช้อลาบามาเนี่ยอยู่ตัวอีกคนเนี่ยสเตมิลัสนำมาตรงนี้ตัวแข่งอยู่กับเนี่ยตัวเนี่ยเจียนเดอร์ช้าวันเนี่ยเนาะวันได้สไลด์นะเนี่ยที่ปอดตัวให้เดี๋ยวกูจอเขาเว็บไซต์ตัวคันเดอร์อยากจะเนี่ยรอเดอร์เนี่ยจะรอตัวชาติรอตัว Child Care Workforce Stabilization Grant นะขนมเนี่ยจะรอเดอร์ว่า Alabama Department of Human Resources เนี่ยจะอยากให้เดียนี่เขาจะ child care providers นะจะน้อยนี่รอจะมีอยู่อ่ะถ้าลูกก็อ้อถึงตู้ลูกชงนังก็อีนะจะลูกอีถึงตู้ลูกชงนังก็อ้อนอนนะเจยันนี่ไอ้ตัว full time worker นะนี่ว่าหรือ full time เพราะฉะนั้นรอมีอยู่นะเจหรือสายอีพัชชีตัวนี้นี่ไอ้ตัว part time เนี่ยว่าอีด้านนู้นซื้อในตัวชาปชีเจ้าเนาะจะขนอยอี call on the American Rescue Plan เราหมดเช่าตัวนี้เฉยๆนะเจนี่เอาเตาเนี่ยเราหมดตัวนี้ตัวข้างเทียนะเจนี่ก็หมดเราเลยขอ Alabama Department of Human Resources ยันในจีบอเนี่ยเขาเนี่ยอะไรที่จอเขาเว็บไซต์ในตรงนี้เทียยันในกูจะในมุนจีเฉยๆจะตัวละตัวรวยอีเปลี่ยนกูมาดักการรอเทียเขาจีซ้ำเขาถืออีเปลี่ยนกันหน่อยซื้อกูดักการรอละ
cho cái này nó nhiều cũng chờ cho nó nhiều cũng chờ giờ tiền này sắp theo ra cái này nó nhiều chúng nó nhiều chia cho này nó nên mà đi bu 老陆，锁上。
Unison 也被某一种音乐节，莫音乐节切铁鼓使到达是那嘅，莫播做音乐节要好 Unison 喏，我呢要使到好你都所懂，就要 Apple 落 Android 使到單錯 ，download Unison 達是那嘅，到你叫所懂 TV、Roku、Fire TV、Apple TV、iPad， 莫音樂節導興到你使 Unison 要到你叫 TV 所懂 Apple TV、Fire TV、Roku、iPad， 都俾咗都齊我音樂節攞咗一塊球，個俾貼咗到咗音樂節用差，落到俾實到晒 ，subscribe น้องๆ嘅，要可以個$1一里都是，莫咗音樂節許到許多許路打天到樣子，這樣可得落晒到用意行，莫音樂節切到錯錯哩 ，subscribe 但是น้อง嘅，仲俾個貼整聽一差一台 DVD， 俾咗音樂節切要播用貼整行，俾咗音樂節你要 download 到晒行。ใช้แต่ชิโนมอง USA TV เราย่อเขาหนอที่ชียูนิสันลิยิงยาเกี้ยอยู่ใช้จิตเอาเนี่ยเราเลยขอเชอรีช่วยย่อย่อตัวเขายูนิสันกงกอบซื้อ subscribe แต่ชิโนเกี้ยตรงได้ก็เทจึงเพิ่งยี่ชาอีได้ DVD ใช้ไม่จ่อยิงยาเกี้ยกูหัวเนมเทียจิตเอาย่อเขาตัวลีเทียใช้ไปจ่อยิงยาเกี้ยเติร์เชียหัวเจ้งหิงช่วยย่อตัวเขายูนิสันซื้อใช้แต่ชิโน subscribe น้องๆเกี้ยอีลีย่อก็$ซื้อย่อก็สาเซฟเนี่ยมูขออีหยงอีปวนึง$ก็อย่าเซฟ$มั่วปัวจ่อยิงยาเกี้ยย่อเขายูนิสันนอดาวน์โหลดยูนิสันขอแอปตัวนี้จอสตงเทียทีวีตัดชินอเกีย
trong xem tàu này chỉ nhớ được cụ thể là cái như trong chỗ này sẽ đậm có số sự tình thế này cho nó một thả cho đầu họ hay thì ở bên đó nói cái sự thả cho là một cái Russian to president này là president Putin tàu là một thả cho hay tiền ba cho nuclear weapons đó cho ba cho blowตัวtới chờ nhớ đi nói về mua cái chai là một trừ sĩ hay thì ít chọn hay giống mua ít kho World War 3 tại sao nó thiệt chỉ do linh đạo này bên nhau rồi sao thì khi mình cả rồi nó thông căn tu này dụ đi trả ít trả không mua kho nuclear war đạo nữa nè chỉ ít trả là tua chấm blow đầu sang đạo xin nên cả tàu một chỗ kho ready.gov kho website nè kho website thì ready.gov nè nó chỉ là mua tàu cho chạy thế là mua tàu cho kia rồi này thì dụ đi trả nè do President Putin tàu order kho nuclear weapons là từ ba tàu được hành đạo ít trả là launch tua rồi sẽ đỡ này gì ít trả họ tấm bằng chữ sĩ nó mà do rồi sai Europe lúc tới chờ tới khi mình cả nó họ trình chán chấp lại do đồ hành tạo sơ nó chỉ đầu lý sang tạo sơ và mỗi hai là một số Russia thế khi mình cả nó lấy thế lý do lúc lúc tới chờ là mua cho submarine based nuclear force nó mà do là đi tàu cho nó một trâu cho nên nó uống cỏ nhá cho họ cá thủ cho họ cá để tên đó xứ này chỉ là sátตัวrồi sátที่มีการเราย่งยีเราตัวเที่ยchỉ do linh đạo này thầu tư muaเขา nuclear explosion muaเขาตั้งมันชื่อสีแล้วเนี่ยอยู่อริจานะเนี่ยจะขอเว็บไซต์เขียนเนี่ยนอนมาอยู่จุนป้าอยู่ตัวแข้งเนาะchỉ do thầu tư làตัวlúc đó tao này chỉเนี่ยchỉ lo tao thông này chỉ từ nhớ dễ đọc hành đạo này chỉ tới rồiอยู่วัวเลยจ่อวัวเนี่ยnó chua taoตัวอยู่วัวตัวอยู่ตัวเที่ยอยู่lúcเขาบอกที่อายุโจมว่าอยู่เจียเขาจีนเนาะจะยิ่งว่าเตาอยู่ให้เดียดีมัวเทียอีนาทีเกินเตาเสือจะยอลินเตาเนี่ยจะอยู่กู้เนี้ยเตาเราโมโตซ่าให้เดียแล้วตัวเทียเนี่ยจะจงกุลีจะเสน่ห์ไปใช้ว่าแล้วตัวแค่ลินเตาซื้อเองเนี่ยเรารู้รอยิ่งว่าเดียปลอดต้านจ้องตาวันมองอาต้านทอนนะจะยอลินเตาอยู่วลิจาเนาะจะยอมัวตั้งมันชื่อสีลินเตาเราให้เดียเนี่ยจุดเคียมุงเก่าเนี่ยเขาอยู่ว่าเจงเก่าใช้ลิใช้เตาอย่างอีจ่าเต้นตอนนี้ป้องเนี่ยต้องอยู่เต้นชอเต้นเดินเราอยู่ว่าจุดที่ชอบมัววันนี้เราว่า có tên tới hết trong mỏ không mua tên tới thiết dùng bao nhiêu tao hậu thiết không mua trong gần gầu liền bao nhiêu tụ khăn tên đó vậy ta lên đó này kiểu chủ tao muốn ra đây thiết dù chủ tao muốn tên nên chủ tới ta dù lúc chế thì chúng mới cho chua nên là mù và thì cú rồi dù là gà rồi dù lúc chế này đó họ chẳng chán chấp bây giờ không tới sợ chỉ có chỉ trong một nhóm gen là họ tranh chiên đầu tây tên tới thiết dù chủ tao hay thì chỉ trong một này nó bỏ tên tới thiết dù chủ tàu hay tiệt có cây mua thiết dù chủ tàu thì thấy tụ khăn trong đó họ plastic cho và nó heat cho cũng nhé và chỉ tuôn tới thiết cho radiation lo cho nuclear explosion mà cho chua trở lại khăn tàu xứ này nó sau có họ mua họ chư thiết có họ giao ấy này nó do dù và tàu mua tấm bằng chữ sĩ lý nó này chị mới cho đi cho lấy tàu tan ra bỏ trên một đại đây là dòng thiết gọi dù thì thấy tụ khăn chỉ xong một giây rồi dòng tên tới họ chỉ mình chỉ tên tới xứ là loại chợ và tàu dù đi mua thiết nữa, cho nên sao bọn chị là nên một chỗ họ ready.gov nó một từ chỗ họ tới thiết cho đến chỗ tóm ba cho đến khi trả họ mua họ World War III trong nuclear war tên là toàn đây thiết, và sau sinh toàn đây là thiết cha đó nên hay tiệt Governor Kate Brown nhớ là sao Oregon thiết Washington thiết California là tao ship cộng hay tiệt cho lũ ở bé thì tu và thi cổ ý của nó sẽ gì là mua cho hay tiệt không sẽ được trong mass nó chạy tới tả vậy,แต่ชิมา Governor Brown nhớ là Oregon hay tiệt cho trẻ cần tới trâu này nó nhớ Oregon đấy chị vì hệ tiệt cho case cho nên kỳ các món nhớ trâu cho hồng màu thiết bự nhớ thông trâu cho hồng màu ta chỉ nó tao kỳ này nó ta là trâu cho percent này chị cho la lụa tin cầu cho trẻ năng tên tờ nữa nè giờ này tao sẽ chỉ xem này sao trâu này để mass nhớ là này xứ thì mà dân trong hệ tiệt cọ này nó khi đó này sẽ đợi thì chỉ thả không sẽ đợi trâu mass nhớ đâu sao Oregon love trở lại khăn tàu sư cho và này nó năng nhớ cho sát healthcare facility thế này nó public transit nó mấy vậy có một trên bus một trò hồng mẫu này chị là cho xã có trò mass center sư họ cho chơi linh tạo này chị nhớ Oregon này chị chỉ thà không cho sự đợt lợn nữa đó chỉ khó chỉnh chén chấp lại này chị lỡ tuần rồi là một thà sẽ thì một all counties nhớ cho sát Oregon trâu hay tiền này nó do cho vàแล้วปอเตาให้เตียเนี่ยนะจิตหาเตาเลยละยิ่งจูดิจ่าอ๋อลูกเขาที่นี่เขาเปอร์เซ็นต์นั่งเจอมอชับเลยเจียมอเฮร์เทียแกรนต์เขาอยากจะเขาที่ลิเลนเบนเทนเจฟเฟอร์สันเทียครุกเขาที่นะเจเขาน้อยย่อตัวฮอร์นีเขาที่เทียเซาตัวแคลิฟอร์เนียเขาบอร์ดนะเจเขาน้อยจุดมันนั่งกีมอนเตานะเจเจอชาซีดีซีไฮนะเจยิ่งให้เตียก่อนชาดิชิซาตัวแมสแล้วเนี่ยย่อตัวจะเขาที่กูฐานตัวนั่นหรออย่าจงนะเจเนี่ยจุดตัวที่ไทยนี่ตัวข้างตัวแมสเทียนะซึ่งหายลินตัวชดาแล้วเขาสนใจตอนเด็กในเทียจะเนี่ยmột trong bên trong Fresno này thì cha đó này thì representative là Senator Jim Costa đó là một cha tờ hay thì giống muốn nàng cầu trâu lan nghe là một ua kế còn đá rồi sắc kế cho chua nó giờ cho là một ua tàu hay thì có một plot ở trâu khó cho cá lèn nhá rồi sắc kế cho chua nó muốn tờ sắc kế cho chua thì Cottonwood Creek nhá sang Madera County trở lại khăn tờ sư Jim Costa hay thì tận đây nó có 1.8 trillion lò này chỉ riêng ca là một trâu highway nhớ trâu sát và này nó đợt bé nó một trâu hoặc là trâu chắc cá rồi sẽ được tàu một trâu avenue cổ ó rồi sang vào King River trở lại khăn tờ sư khó cho chua nó một trâu cổ xa một trâu avenue cổ ó Madera này chị còn những hai tiệt tứ và tàu giờ ít cái cá rồi trong chia lời thiết thì mà giờ là một cái gì cái tàu trả rồi sẽ được thiết này chị thêm một đại hôn là trong này chỉ này bỏ tàu hay thì ta sẽ nói giờ và lưu rõ nó đã rồi thiết cho cái lệnh nó tàu rồi tua là thiết cho nên là trong này sẽ đợi là có số sự gì tận đây nó giờ ít có số sự thiết cho là một thả trong này bên nó trong Fresno nó sẽ được chống cân cầu đi thiết cho nó chữ tàu một tỷ sa và City Hallตัวมุขฮีวันนี้นอว่าเจ้าแสดงให้เตียยอดจอนั่งว่า refugees ตัวรัสเซียยูเครนนะเจนลุ้นท้องเฟรสของเราต่อใจแสดงตั้งทอเทียก็ฉันนอแสดงยัดยูเครนปอต่อเตียไปลุ้นจอเฟรสนอวันนี้นอใช้จอนั่งยูเครนจะไปสั่ง refugees นะเจยอดที่ Eaton Plaza ที่ downtown นะเจต่อมัวยูเครนตัวที่นะจ่าอินดาที่อเมริกาตัวที่จ่าอินดานะเจมัวจะได้ชี้เจ้าตัวแสดงตัวแสดงกาวันนี้นอจะ sign จะสีด้าvìที่ยูเครนตัวที่จะสีด้าเที่ยงกับป้าเต้นตัวเที่ยงนะเจตัวจ่ายูเครนตัวอันนี้นอที่นั่นนะจะเจอในชั้นตัวเที่ยงนะเจเขาน้อยอย่างอีคออันนี้นอว่า major Fresno Mayor Jerry Dyer ตอนเรามูให้เตียกุศลกับเจ้ายูเครนเนี่ยจะนั่ง refugees ตัวนะเจไปยังเสาเจดูอันนี้นอ ต่อsẽ đời thiệp bỏ rong giảiต่อtan thọ rồi cho nên Ukraine tôi bên đó fresh nó chỉ là ý lần tua sư sẽ đời cho nó chữ tôi chống cần gọi đi thiệp tiền gọi rồi county supervisor thiệp tiền gọi rồi sẽ đời cho council member mua cho nó chữ rồi sắc Clovis mu cộng tan thọ thiệp là gì gọi khi rồi sẽ đời tan thọ hay tiền này nó nhớ trong lúc đó fresh nó bây sẽ đời cho thôi cho thế cho bây sang yên bỏ rong nó hay tiền giải cho nênว่า Ukrainian refugees ตัวเราไปรู้จอเนาะเดี๋ยวตัว Baptist Association ตัวเท่าจอReverend Mali เนาะตัวลูก Church the ขอให้เดียนี่ตัว President the Pacific Coast ลูก Baptist Organization ตัวละโมให้เช่าตัวเสด็จให้เดียมัวลูตัวเสด็จก็ท้อว่าแต่งตัวท้อว่าจื้อตัวจอนั่งว่าเนี่ยเนาะว่าlỡ lửa lúc tết chờ tàu mà kia trò thiê họ thọ có trò bây giờ nọ chữ thiê ấy có bây giờ nọ chữ chỉ xe tàu thiê có chữ sắm mua cho nó trò cho bây sẵn nữa nè chị gia đình đỡ này chị bây là một số linh nó trò hoàn nói bây cụ cho nên muốn chi bây giờ tôi là tôi lụa ít cái nào mà cho sở sự là muốn gì cho nên thiê
cho cái này nó nhiều cũng chờ cho tôi là nó nhiều cũng chờ giờ tiền này sắm theo ra cái này nó nhiều chúng nó nhiều nhiều chia cho này nó nghe mà đi bu
kinh giờ hai tia mấy nó tươi chỉ mà cô lại có vấn đề của theo
do là mà hai tia nó tươi chỉ mà có lại chỉ có chỉ bảo nên nhỏ liền ui lo nhưng có tổ số xa một tiếng của trời ném xa đúng không
Unison 也被某一种音乐节，莫音乐节车铁路晒到达是哪个？莫播做音乐节要好 Unison 呢？我呢要晒到好你都所懂，就要 Apple 落 Android 晒到单车 ，download Unison 达是哪个？就呢叫所懂 TV、Roku、Fire TV、Apple TV、iPad 莫音乐节导航就呢晒 Unison 要就呢叫 TV 所懂 Apple TV、Fire TV、Roku、iPad 主被叫动彩我音乐节。lọ nhỏ ít khó chờ có bé thế cho tôi cho những gia kia rung cha là tôi biết sẽ đời sai subscribe nó kia những khối học cổ chỉ đô la ít lì tư sư mua cho những gia kia xí đầu xí tua xí lưu đá thiên đầu dàn gì giờ nhớ khó tư là sai tàu dùng gì hàng mua những gia kia chia tự số lì subscribe ta xí nó kia tụi bay có thể chứng minh gì cha ít đại DVD bây giờ những gia kia chia yêu bộ rung thiết chứng hàng bây giờ những gia kia nếu download tàu sai hàng sai ta chỉ nó mong USA TV lo nhỏ hậu nọ tí xì Unison lý những gia kia vô sai chỉ tàu nhớ đầu lượt khỏi chờ đi chủ yếu nhỏ cho hậu Unison gồng gọc xương subscribe ta chỉ nó kia tụi bay có thể chứng minh gì cha ý đại DVD sai mấy cho những gia kia cũ của nên chơi chỉ tàu nhỏ khỏi tư lý thế sai mấy cho những gia kia tự chia của chân hình chủ yếu nhỏ cho hậu Unison xương sai ta chỉ nó subscribe nó kia ý lý giờ có chỉ đô la xương giờ có xã save nha một khỏi ý dụng ý bộ nâng đô la có thể xem trâu dầu đô la mua bộ cho những gia kia nhớ hậu Unison nó download Unison có app chỗ này cho sở tông thiết TV ta chỉ nó kia
trong xem tôi nên chuyện như thế cụ thể là cái trong donation đó nên bỏ tàu thì biết cho ít cho xin này donation thì cho nên cho trailer cho cuốn nào cho rồi cho xin này tờ rồi cho xin này thứ tờ cho share nhớ rồi sai unison cho lưu trong nên nó TV đấy giờ ít trong movie giờ mong cần cầu sự ý dạng của nên mega trong Netflix và tàu ít trong ý dạng của nên đó là sai tàu thông cán tàu thiên nên uploadไปขอ app unison ตัวนี้จะสต้องทอนี่มู subscribe ที่อีหลีนะกูชี้เราละซื้อที่เช่าเตาจ่อตัวจะ program ที่จ่อตัวสิเนตัวนี้ใช้นี่จะถ่าย DVD แล้วอยากจะสิเนชื่อชีอยากตีจะสิเนโอ้อยากจะ full length แต่อยากอีđại sinh này tan thọ thọ bí cho thọ sau, ấy chỉ mua choวันนี้เนาะ commercial เราหมดจอตรงนี้เทียบเลยสาธารณนี้เทียบหมด subscribe เราตั้งตรงนี้จะสต้องนี่จะสต้องหมดตรงนี้เขา app นี่หมดดูเตา unison ล้อนี่กี่นี่มัววันนี้เนาะวันก้าหมดเราเขา register เราอยากให้เตรียมหมด subscribe เราเขานี่กี่ถอนนี่เช่าเทียบไปที่จอเตาเลยจะสอดสื่อนะตรงนี้เทียบว่าเตา movie ตรงนี้ใช้เทียบจุดที่ตั้งแต่ว่าเตาช่องทีวีนั่งกับรถสมองชาโน่ตรงนี้เสด็จเทียบอย่าเอาทุ่งนอนเย็นนี่ใช้ยังยี่สินะย้อนตัวตั้งในจะทีวีต่อเจ๊ที่ย้อนตัวตั้งในจะสต้องตานทอจะให้เดียย้อนตัวชั้นเดาอย่าจะให้เดียแพลตฟอร์มไอ้ใช้เตาในเย็นย้อนตัวตั้งทอในจันทร์เลิศอย่าจงเชียร์ตัวนี้เชียร์แจงแจ้งเทียในตัวน้อเตาไปตัว President Joe Biden ตัวละมูวันหนึ่งเขา Union State of the Union Address นั่นมาจอรู้เชียร์เหรอนอมาตัว President ตัวรู้ได้เฉยจุดตัวละมูมั่วชัวละมูถาเจ้าให้เดียไปอวดเตาดิยาเลยไปจ่อเตาดิยาเลยจี้เท่านั้นละมูตัว President อย่าคันดาวในเจเนยจุดตอนละมุถาเจ้ามินจีจะใช้ยูเครนที่รัสเซียที่วีเดียมดจ่อเทียเสด็จได้นุ่งกีละยิ่งให้เดียนเตาขึ้นเกาหลีเลยที่วีให้เดียได้จ่อละกีขึ้นเกาหลีเลยเทียอุนอลันเยจู่เต้นแต่เลยเทียนะเยนึกยันรู้จังแจ้งขึ้นเกาหลีละมุถาเจ้าให้เดียเป้อตอริยาละแต่ชิกุสาเจ้าในหมู่กงตัวเนื้อให้เจ้าเนื้อเขา State of the Union Address ละมุถาเจ้าจะใช้ยูเครนที่รัสเซียอเมริกาโยละอริยาที่เช่าตัวยูเครนเทียนั่นน่ะยิ่งย้อนจงจะรู้นั่นรู้จังแจ้งเทียจะกูเจ้าในหมู่กงจะเขาวิดีโออย่าจงเชียร์ตัวนี้ลูกเชียร์จังแจ้งเนี่ยย้อนจงมุ่งยาเสพติดในช่องทีวีอ๋ออย่ากูจินาลิจ้ากูจะในหมู่ใช้เขาวิดีโอนอนต่อไปตัว President Joe Biden
Thank you all very, very much. Thank you. Please. Thank you so much. Madam Speaker, Madam Vice President, our First Lady and Second Gentleman, members of Congress and the Cabinet, Justice of the Supreme Court, my fellow Americans. Last year, COVID-19 kept us apart. This year, we're finally together again. Tonight, we meet as Democrats, Republicans, and Independents, but most importantly, as Americans, with the duty to one another, to America, to the American people, to the Constitution, and an unwavering resolve that freedom will always triumph over tyranny. Thank you. Six days ago, Russia's Vladimir Putin sought to shake the very foundations of the free world, thinking he could make it bend to his menacing ways. But he badly miscalculated. He thought he could roll into Ukraine and the world would roll over. Instead, he met with a wall of strength he never anticipated or imagined. He met the Ukrainian people. From President Zelensky to every Ukrainian, their fearlessness, their courage, their determination literally inspires the world. Groups of citizens blocking tanks with their bodies, everyone from students to retirees to teachers, turned soldiers defending their homeland. And in this struggle, President Zelensky said in his speech to the European Parliament, "Light will win over darkness." The Ukrainian ambassador to the United States is here tonight, sitting with the First Lady. Let each of us, if you're able to stand and send an unmistakable signal to the world of Ukraine. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. She's bright, she's strong, and she's resolved. Yes. We, the United States of America, stand with the Ukrainian people. Throughout our history, we've learned this lesson. When dictators do not pay a price for their aggression, they cause more chaos. They keep moving, and the cost, the threats to America and America to the world keeps rising. That's why the NATO alliance was created, to secure peace and stability in Europe after World War II. The United States is a member, along with 29 other nations. It matters. American diplomacy matters. American resolve matters. Putin's latest attack on Ukraine was premeditated and totally unprovoked. He rejected repeated efforts at diplomacy. He thought the West and NATO wouldn't respond. He thought he could divide us at home, in this chamber, in this nation. He thought he could divide us in Europe as well. But Putin was wrong. We are ready. We are united, and that's what we did. We stayed united. We prepared extensively and carefully. We spent months building coalitions of other freedom-loving nations in Europe and the Americas, from America to the Asian and African continents, to confront Putin. Like many of you, I spent countless hours unifying our European allies. We shared with the world in advance what we knew Putin was planning and precisely how we would try to falsify and justify his aggression. We countered Russia's lies with the truth. And now that he's acted, the free world is holding him accountable, along with 27 members of the European Union, including France, Germany, Italy, as well as countries like the United Kingdom, Canada, Japan, Korea, Australia, New Zealand, and many others. Even Switzerland are inflicting pain on Russia and supporting the people of Ukraine. Putin is now isolated from the world more than he has ever been. Together, along with our allies, we are right now enforcing powerful economic sanctions. We're cutting off Russia's largest banks from the international financial system, preventing Russia's central bank from defending the Russian ruble, making Putin's $630 billion war fund worthless. We're choking Russia's access. To technology that will sap its economic strength and weaken its military for years to come. Tonight, I say to the Russian oligarchs and the corrupt leaders who bilked billions of dollars off this violent regime, no more. The United States, I mean it. The United States Department of Justice is assembling a dedicated task force to go after the crimes of the Russian oligarchs. We're joining with European allies to find and seize their yachts, their luxury apartments, their private jets. We're coming for your ill-begotten gains. And tonight, I'm announcing that we will join our allies in closing off American airspace to all Russian flights, further isolating Russia and adding additional squeeze on their economy. He has no idea what's coming. The ruble has already lost 30% of its value. The Russian stock market has lost 40% of its value, and trading remains suspended. The Russian economy is reeling, and Putin alone is the one to blame. Together with our allies, we're providing support to the Ukrainians in their fight for freedom. Military assistance, economic assistance, humanitarian assistance. We're giving more than $1 billion of direct assistance to Ukraine, and will continue to aid the Ukrainian people as they defend their country and help ease their suffering. But let me be clear, our forces are not engaged and will not engage in the conflict with Russian forces in Ukraine. Our forces are not going to Europe to fight Ukraine, but to defend our NATO allies in the event that Putin decides to keep moving west. For that purpose, we have mobilized American ground forces, air squadrons, ship deployments to protect NATO countries including Poland, Romania, Latvia, Lithuania, and Estonia. And as I've made crystal clear, the United States and our allies will defend every inch of territory that is NATO territory with the full force of our collective power. Every single inch. And we're clear-eyed. The Ukrainians are fighting back with pure courage. But the next few days, weeks, and months will be hard on them. Putin has unleashed violence and chaos, but while he may make gains on the battlefield, he'll pay a continuing high price over the long run. And a pound of Ukrainian people, the proud, proud people, pound for pound, ready to fight with every inch of energy they have. They've known 30 years of independence, have repeatedly shown that they will not tolerate anyone who tries to take their country backwards. To all Americans, I'll be honest with you, as I always promised I would be. A Russian dictator invading a foreign country has cost around the world. And I'm taking robust action to make sure the pain of our sanctions is targeted at the Russian economy, and that we use every tool at our disposal to protect American businesses and consumers. Tonight, I can announce the United States has worked with 30 other countries to release 60 million barrels of oil from reserves around the world. America will lead that effort, releasing 30 million barrels of our own strategic petroleum reserve. And we stand ready to do more if necessary, united with our allies. These steps will help blunt gas prices here at home, but I know news about what's happening can seem alarming to all Americans. But I want you to know, we're going to be okay. We're going to be okay. When the history of this era is written, Putin's war in Ukraine will have left Russia weaker and the rest of the world stronger. While it shouldn't have taken something so terrible for people around the world to see what's at stake, now everyone sees it clearly. We see the unity among leaders of nations, a more unified Europe, a more unified West. We see unity among the people who are gathering in cities and large crowds around the world, even in Russia, to demonstrate their support for the people of Ukraine. In the battle between democracy and autocracies, democracies are rising to the moment, and the world is clearly choosing the side of peace and security. This is the real test, and it's going to take time. So let us continue to draw inspiration from the iron will of the Ukrainian people. To our fellow Ukrainian Americans who forged the deep bond that connects our two nations, we stand with you. We stand with you. Putin may circle Kyiv with tanks, but he'll never gain the hearts and souls of the Iranian people. He'll never extinguish their love of freedom, and he will never, never weaken the resolve of the free world. We meet tonight in an America that has lived through two of the hardest years this nation has ever faced. The pandemic has been punishing, and so many families are living paycheck to paycheck, struggling to keep up with the rising cost of food, gas, housing, and so much more. I understand, like many of you did. My dad had to leave his home in Scranton, Pennsylvania to find work. So like many of you, I grew up in a family when the price of food went up, it was felt throughout the family. It had an impact. That's when one of the first things I did as president was fight to pass the American Rescue Plan. Because people were hurting, we needed to act, and we did. Few pieces of legislation have done more at a critical moment in our history to lift us out of a crisis. It fueled our efforts to vaccinate the nation and combat COVID-19, delivered immediate economic relief to tens of millions of Americans. It helped put food on the table. Remember those long lines of cars waiting for hours just to get a box of food put in their trunk? It cut the cost of health care insurance. And as my dad used to say, it gave the people just a little bit of breathing room. Unlike the $2 trillion tax cut passed in the previous administration that benefited the top 1% of Americans, the American Rescue Plan helped working people and left no one behind. Folks, and it worked. It worked. It worked. We created jobs, lots of jobs. In fact, our